So today we're going to learn circle and parabola. But before that, you need to know how to perform completing the square. Let's look at our general form of quadratic equations, which is x squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0, or x squared minus bx plus c is equals to 0. First of all, you have to make sure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. So in our step 1, what we're going to do is x squared plus bx, we put two bracket with squared and then minus bracket squared plus c is equals to 0. So the value that we're going to substitute in the bracket is the half of b, means that x squared plus bx plus b over 2 squared minus b over 2 squared plus c is equals to 0. So same thing happened to this quadratic equation, x squared minus bx plus bracket squared and then minus bracket squared plus c is equals to 0. So again, now our value of b, the coefficient of x is negative b. So it's negative b. So what I am going to substitute here is x squared minus bx plus c. Now in the bracket is negative b over 2 squared minus negative b over 2 squared plus c is equals to 0. So that's the difference. One is positive b over 2. Another one is negative b over 2. So in our step 2, the first three terms, you can just ignore the b, the value in the middle. So what I do is, I put a bracket and then I put square. So here is x, and then in the bracket is positive b over 2. So it's plus b over 2. And then minus b over 2 squared plus c is equals to 0. The same thing go to here. So the first three terms, you can just ignore the middle, the value in the middle, and then you put a bracket, squared. So here will become x. In the bracket is negative b over 2. So here is minus b over 2 minus in the bracket negative b over 2 squared plus c is equals to 0. This is how we do. This is how we're going to perform completing the square. Let's look at one example. Let's say example 1. So let's say the question is x squared minus 4x minus 3 is equals to 0. So what I'm going to do here is x squared minus 4x. So in our step 1, I should put two bracket plus bracket squared minus bracket squared and then minus 3 is equals to 0. So the value that I'm going to put inside the bracket is x squared minus 4x plus, so plus bracket squared minus bracket squared minus 3 is equals to minus 3 is equals to 0. So now our value of b is negative 4. So I'm going to put negative 4 over 2. Same go to here, negative 4 over 2. So if this can be simplified, so next we try to simplify x squared minus 4x plus bracket squared minus bracket squared minus 3 is equals to 0. So I try to simplify. Negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. and negative 2. Next, the first three terms. So you just can ignore the value in the middle. So you put a bracket here, squared. So here is x, and inside the bracket is negative 2. So it's minus 2. So minus negative 2 squared is positive 4, minus 3 is equals to 0. So finally, x minus 2 squared, negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7, is equals to 0. If you look at another example, let's say example 2. So where the equation is 2x squared plus 10x plus 7 is equals to 0. So for this question, the coefficient of x squared is negative 2. So what I have to do is, in the first step, I'm going to divide by 2, because the condition is x squared, the coefficient of x squared must be 1. So x squared plus 5x plus 7 over 2 is equals to 0. So now the coefficient of x squared is 1. Next, x squared plus 5x again plus bracket squared minus bracket squared, and then plus 7 over 2 is equals to 0. So again, the value that I'm going to put here is the value of b. So now b is positive 5. So 5 over 2, 5 over 2. The first three terms, put a bracket, squared, and then here is x. You can ignore the value in the middle. And then here in the bracket is positive 5 over 2. So here is plus 5 over 2 minus 5 over 2 squared. You can use your calculator. Here you should get 25 over 4 plus 7 over 2 is equals to 0. So next I'm going to simplify here. So here is x plus 5 over 2 squared. So negative 25 over 4 plus 7 over 2 will be equals to negative 11 over 4 is equals to 0. This is how we're going to perform completing the square. Next, let's try some circle and equation of circle and parabola. Let's say example 3, sorry. Let's look at the equation is, let's say is y squared plus 4y plus 8x minus 4 is equals to 0. So you can see that in this example, only variables of y have power of 2. So we only perform completing the square for the variables of y. So next step, y squared plus 4y. I can move 8x minus 4 to the right hand side, will be equals to negative 8x plus 4. So I move 8x and negative 4 to the right hand side. Next, I start to perform completing the square, y squared plus 4y plus bracket squared minus bracket squared will be equals to negative 8x plus 4. So what I'm going to do here is, I put the value of 4, so 4 over 2, here is 4 over 2. So y squared plus 4y, try to simplify, plus bracket squared minus bracket squared. So here is positive 2 is equals to negative 8x plus 4. So the first three terms, here we should have y plus 2 squared minus 4, negative 2 squared is 4, positive 2 squared is 4, is equals to negative 8x plus 4. So next, let's say I try to move negative 4 to the right hand side. What I should have here is y plus 2 squared will be equals to negative 8x. Positive 4 plus 4 will become plus 8. So finally, y plus 2 squared, what I'm going to do is I try to factorize negative 8. So what I should have here is negative 8 in the bracket x. Be careful in this part. So here will become negative minus 8. So actually this is the standard form of parabola. Finally, we look at the last example. Example 4. Now we look at the equation of a circle. 3x squared plus 3y squared minus 18y and minus 18x plus 6y minus 45 is equals to 0. So you can see that both of the variable of x and y have the power of 2. But first, we have to make sure that the coefficient of x squared and y squared must be 1. So next step, I'm going to divide by 3. So here I should have x squared plus y squared minus 6x plus 2y minus 45 divided by 3 supposed to be equals to 15 equals to 0. So next I try to arrange x squared minus 6x plus y squared plus 2y minus 15 is equals to 0. Next, x squared minus 6x. So I put a bracket plus bracket squared minus bracket squared plus y squared plus 2y again plus bracket squared minus bracket squared minus 15 will be equals to 0. So x squared minus 6x plus bracket squared minus bracket squared plus y squared plus 2y plus bracket squared minus bracket squared minus 15 will be equals to 0. So the value here is negative 6 over 2. The value of b is negative 6. Here is negative 6 over 2. Whereas the value of b for the value of y is 2. So here is 2 over 2, 2 over 2. Next step, I try to simplify. Plus in the bracket, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3 squared minus negative 3 squared plus y squared plus 2y. Again, I try to simplify. 1 squared minus 1 squared minus 15 is equals to 0. So the first three terms, I put a bracket, x minus 3 squared minus negative 3 squared is positive 9 plus y, the first three terms again in the bracket, y plus 1 squared minus 1 minus 15 is equals to 0. So finally I just try to simplify. X minus 3 squared plus y plus 1 squared negative 9 minus 1 minus 15 will be equals to negative 25 equals to 0. So finally, I just put the constant to the right hand side. X minus 3 squared plus y plus 1 squared will be equals to 25. So actually, this is the standard form of parabola that we're going to learn later. And this is the equation of the standard equation of circle.